it's been a little while since you did Making Monsters with Combichrist, and then the Throatful of Glass EP. What have you been up to between then and the latest Combichrist release? Do you get any time to relax at all, or is it all music and work?
Well, I would say I even if I have time in between, I don't really get time to relax because I'm just that kind of a person that I just can't not do anything, so I have to do something, you know what I mean? So but we have been touring a lot. We have been playing a lot of shows, and I've been doing a lot of shows with other projects and stuff too, just like kind of revisited stuff. And on top of that, I've been doing some, DJing, and I've been working in a studio, and then trying to figure out how to utilize my time in between to actually relax. But then I sit down and I just get straight back up and I go and I do something that I might not even have to do, but I just it's just a part of me that I feel like as soon as I stop doing it, as soon as I stop and take a pause, I'm afraid it's going to be more than just a pause. I feel like it's just going to, rot away. Obviously I want, but it's just how it feels.
The new album, it's a stunning bit of work. It's pretty brutal stuff too. Is the heavier direction that you're taking with Combichrist something that you're likely to stay with that band?
We obviously I did most of this. I did because I felt it suited the Devil May Cry game, but I definitely enjoyed working on it, and I definitely enjoyed going that direction with it. And it's so many elements in that album that we've had live for such a long time that we never really had on the record. We just had it on the live shows. Yeah. So I felt like it was kind of a natural thing to do now. At the same time, it's not exactly 100% the direction I want the next Combichrist album to be. We're still definitely going to get a little bit of that feel too. But I also still want to stay true to some of the electronics and stuff as well, obviously a little bit more electronica. However, I'm from the punk and hardcore and metal background, so it's hard to not let it shine through, and it's really hard now, especially now when it's kind of the album got a pretty good reception and people actually accepted it. It's kind of hard to go back from it again because it's nice to be doing something different, and it's nice to finally get that sound that we have live down on an album.
Yeah, it's very interesting you said that because it has got a very sort of a live vibe about the whole thing, and I think that's one of the things where the album's won over. It kind of, you've kept the Combichrist fans happy from the early Combichrist fans, and yet you've gained a lot of fans from metal fans as well.
I always try to figure out how to kind of translate this live sound, and I spent a lot of time thinking about, not really working on it in the studio, but just thinking about what could I do to kind of translate this into a studio, because it's so different when you record something than if you see it and hear it with your own ears. So when you hear something live, it's so hard to make a good live recording too. You can even watch, you can watch any Nine Inch Nails DVD, and it's a live DVD, and it's really good, but it's not the same as when you see it when you're there. There's no way to really translate that. So I kind of figured the only way to kind of translate it into sounding more live is to actually just swap out some of the typical elements that I would have on a recording and actually swap it out with live instruments and see where it goes. And I think that we were quite successful with it, and I'm pretty happy with it.
Interesting, because obviously it features on the Devil May Cry game as well. Did you have access to the game in any form, or did you collaborate with anybody from the game makers in making it?
Yeah, I actually worked pretty much along with the game creation. So I mean, most of the music that I made, I actually had the generic battle scenes or the combat scenes for what I was doing. So, which was really interesting because as a musician, you usually kind of set a tone and a mood and a kind of a pace and a kind of a storyline or whatever in your head before you kind of write or you create it yourself. Having these videos and the combat scenes in front of me, it really set the pace of what it needed to be. It already had the colors, the vibe, the intensity of it, or if it's going to be a little slower, a little faster, and that really was a complete opposite way for me to work in, because I'm used to doing everything out of my own head, and then suddenly I'm working around somebody else's mood, and you have to fit, and you have to not only fit, but you have to make it even more powerful. That's why the music is there.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting because you kind of came. I don't know how to explain it, but it kind of came to a really nice, already, decked out smorgasbord that I just go in and feast, and it was really great.
Yeah. It'd be really great to hear you play the new material live over here in the UK sometime. Have you got any plans at all to play in the UK in 2013 as a tour, or maybe play a festival or two?
I mean, we started planning out what we want to do this year. I'm still in the studio because I'm working on the Icon of Coil album, and then I'm going to be recording Scandinavian Cock album, which is my punk rock band, and then we're going to finish up the next Combichrist album, which is going to be released this year as well, like another full length. So I got obviously there's a lot of work in front of me, but at the same time we do have some plans for starting off touring again around August. But in what order we'll be touring in, I don't know, because we'll be touring all over. So, but as I don't know if UK will be this part of the year or if it will be beginning of 2014. I'm not 100% sure, but we're definitely coming back as soon as we start touring again. I mean, like, it's always one of our favorite places to play. So
it must be very, very complex organising your sort of itinerary, just you personally, with having so many projects.
It's really funny. I kind of work on my own pace and my own thing, and then I have my management calling me. It's like, have you done this yet? Kind of like, and no, I haven't. But you should be working on this and not that. And I'm like, but I don't want to work on that, because I'm an artist. I'm not a businessman, So it's really hard to do things by deadlines and do things by what other people expect from you, because I really just want to sit down and do what I want to do. Like, I mean, it's hard to make music, even a genre of music that you don't feel that day.
Yeah.
So that's how I end up with so many different, different styles and different projects, because I don't like to write music I'm not in the mood for, but I also don't like to not do anything. So I have to go and do something. So if I'm not in the mood for something aggressive, I will be sitting down and maybe make an acoustic album. And if I don't feel like doing anything like that at all, I'll sit down and I'll make some pure rock and roll or punk rock stuff. And so it's really not that complex for me. I think my management is rather the ones that are pulling their hair out, and it's like, you shouldn't be working on this, and I'm like, this is not a job. This is what I do. So, but I do have to look at their spreadsheet to figure out what I do and where I am next week. What am I doing next week? Let's look at the management spreadsheet and go, oh, I'm going to LA next week. Okay. So it's definitely not the typical life.
You touched there on a little bit. Maybe you like to play acoustic or something. Do you when you start your writing process? How do you write? Do you start with something on acoustic, or is it keyboard, or you just go straight into it?
It really depends. I mean, like on tour, when I write on tour, I tend to write just lyrics. And then other times I sit down and I'll start, with acoustic guitar, and I kind of just like make chords and that's it, and I kind of come up with patterns and rhythms, and sometimes it all comes together at the same time, kind of thing, or sometimes I have I'm playing around in the studio and and it's just kind of like a bass loop, or it really. It's different from song to song, like how I build it up. I never really had like a template for how to make music.
There's a lot of bands out there at the moment that are going down the sort of DIY route, particularly with sort of the as people have called it, the digital revolution. The music scene here in the UK is huge at the moment. It's full of like small rock bands all doing their own thing. A lot of them are gaining a very big following. Do you think that the major labels' days are numbered, or is the room for everybody in the music business still?
It's been such a complex discussion since the beginning of downloads, But I believe that major labels will always stay because, they create, and they not only create, but they run so much of the media, like so much of the radio channels and so much of the TV channels. And I mean, I don't think that there is, what should I say, a coincidence that there's the same 20 bands are being played over and over and over. It's like on certain radio stations. It's because the media, because the major labels are behind it, and they support it. They have the money for it. Like an independent label would never be able to do that. They don't have the money for it or the funding to do it. And not only that, but they wouldn't even think about it because they look at it as, or I do look at it as a way of corruption almost. So I think it'll always be there because people always need shitty music, and I don't think good bands, real bands, really are they corrupt in the same way as the mass production companies. And there will always be pop music, and the pop music will always be, directed to the masses, and the masses is more or less controlled by these major labels, or at least what they get served on their plates, So I think there will be less and less physical releases, but I think major labels will always be there to pull strings.
Yeah, I think it's true these days as well. A lot of bands, I know, particularly the smaller bands, almost give their music away, even though it's taken a lot of blood, sweat and tears to make it, but tend to make money on the merchandise side of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's really hard. It's a really as an independent, if you have an independent label, you can sit on the option. You're sitting on the option to give all your music away for free or for a very low dollar, and even though there's a lot of blood and sweat in there, but you might gain that back by being able to do bigger tours and more touring and a bigger fan base and reaching out to more people. So you might get benefit from it in that way. I mean, but it's hard to argue that to a label because they want to sell albums. They don't want to give it away. So I think that's also one of the reasons why you see a lot of the independent releases as well, because no label in the right mind would ever fund a band that is going to give their music away for free.
It seems from when I first started going out and gigging a lot that you had your metal fans and you had your punk fans and you had your pop fans and whatever, and these days I've seen where music fans love music as long as it's great music. And do you think that music fans generally are getting a bit smarter these days?
Well, I think that the smart part of music listeners has always been there. You know what I mean? But I think because of the internet and stuff like that, people have more access to different types of music. So that's the upside about downloading, because if you're a metalhead, you're never going to pick up an electronic album in the store when you go into the store. Not only do you look bad being a metalhead, but it's just you don't know about it. You don't have to pick it up. If you randomly hear it when you're surfing the web or browsing the web, or you see it in a movie or whatever, it's easy access to it to go and check it out and maybe open your horizon a little bit about the music that is out there. I mean, I listen to everything from 20s big band swing music through 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Not so much 80s, but or 90s. But I'm not a big 80s fan, except for punk rock. I mean, like, there's a lot of my background, like I said, it's like 80s punk rock. So I listen to everything from A to Z. I think a lot of people open their mind and not be so blindfolded, or but at the same time, you will always have purists that will never even admit that they like another type of music, even if they do.
Yeah, I think it's very noticeable as well that a lot of artists have combined different styles of music a lot more than they used to. Yourself being one of them, you play lots of different styles, but within one group, like Combichrist, there's lots and lots of different influences from different genres. And I think that surely that helped as well to break down those barriers.
Well, I would hope so. I really hope so. I've personally had friends that are purists of rock and roll purists. If they would hear one single synth line in a song, they would just say, this is shite. This is shite. I don't want to listen to it. Even if and then I'll catch them like 3 years later, in a situation where they're actually listening to the same album that I tried to play for them like 3 years before. And I was like, do you remember 3 years ago? And they look at me, and I'm actually referring to one specific person right now, in one specific story. And he goes, yeah, I just thought about that. And it's like, but they're so stubborn. It's like, but did you like it 3 years ago? Yeah, I did. And it's like, so why would you tell me that you didn't? We always see people who are stubborn like that.
Yeah, they are sometimes. Right, this is going to put you right on the spot now. Imagine you're going on a major tour, you're on the tour bus, but you're only allowed to take one album to listen to. That's all you're allowed to take for the whole tour. Which album would it be and why?
Can I just say, for a whole tour, how long would the tour be?
Say a month. Suppose for argument's sake you're going on a tour bus for a month.
Oh, for a month. Oh, easy. I think any helicopters album. Like any helicopters.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah, pretty good choice. Pretty good choice.
Yeah, any Helicopters album, because it's the only band that I ever listened to that you can put on regardless of your mood. It doesn't matter. It's because it's the album is all their albums are set so perfectly moody. So it doesn't matter if you're in a good mood or in a bad mood. You put it on and you just float straight into it.
And finally, have you got anything else to add? Anything that you'd like to say to the people on Get Your Rock Out webzine?
I mean, I'm looking forward to coming back to the UK and hopefully be sooner than later. And, just horns up and, just keep, if everything's going to be as awesome as it has been in the past, it's going to be awesome again. So.
That's great stuff. Andy LaPlegua, it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hope to see you over in the UK as soon as we possibly can.
I hope so too. All right, man. Oh, you take care.
And take care of yourself as well. Thanks ever so much for talking to us.
All right.
Bye now. Yourself as well. Thanks ever so much for talking to us.